Alright, so hey guys, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are all doing well. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about these new GeForce LHR cards. So for those of you guys who haven't really heard, earlier this week Nvidia kind of came out with this little article that we're looking at here, and they basically just kind of talked about how they are going to be kind of reshipping or re-releasing the RTX 3080, the 3070, and the 3060 Ti with this new kind of LHR kind of software, or just kind of baked in feature. It's this kind of weird thing in between software and a hardware limiting feature. We'll get kind of more into that, but it's basically just a kind of feature that is going to reduce a card's ability to mine on the Ethereum network. So in short, what these LHR cards are going to do is basically just reduce the hash rate in half of what you would normally mine on the Ethereum network. So most of the time, these GPUs like the RTX 3080 will get around 100 mega hash, which basically just increases the amount of money that you get from, or just the amount of Ethereum, sorry, not money, but Ethereum that you get. So the more hashing power you have, the more Ethereum that you get when you mine. So a 3080 usually gets around 100 mega hash. Basically, it's going to cut that in half with the LHR version of it, so that's going to be around 50 mega hash. So basically, that's going to reduce the profitability of these cards like a lot, and these miners probably aren't going to buy them, because if you kind of think about it, these things are an asset, not just kind of a nice to have like what us gamers get. We intend paying for these things, and that just coming out of pocket. Whereas miners are looking to buy these things and then make the money back from mining, and then basically just kind of make all that money back, and then just use the money that they gain after their return on investment or their ROI. And they're just going to use all that money afterwards actually just to put into their pockets. So in short, basically what they're trying to do is just reduce the amount of GPUs that are going into miners' hands, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of Nvidia's bad press has just been coming from them not being able to get gamers GPUs. I think AMD has done a really good job with it. They've been shipping all their cards out to micro centers and stuff like that. They really don't sell a whole lot online, and that basically gives them a really good chance of them being able to get these out in actual customers' hands instead of these huge mining farms. So let's kind of take a look into what Nvidia is trying to accomplish with this. So if you guys have kind of heard this LHR thing before, you probably have when we were talking about the 3060. So the 3060 came out a couple months ago. And it kind of had this feature baked into it. It was kind of the first card that had it, and it really didn't go too well, because later on, I think it was like a week after the card actually was released, Nvidia accidentally released a driver version, or kind of leaked it. They didn't release it, but I think one of their employees might have accidentally leaked it on a website or something like that, and people were able to get it, basically just kind of exploit that driver version to be able to take off the LHR limiter on the 3060. So people are actually able to mine at the full hash rate on a 3060 than the actual reduced hash rate that they actually should have when the card detects it. But from what we have seen, if that driver isn't used, it actually works. The hash rate of the 3060 is halved. So I guess the LHR thing is kind of doing what it's supposed to, but I think with the whole goal with the refresh of the 3080, the 3070, and the 3060 Ti that originally didn't have any sort of light hash rate limiter on them, I think that the kind of goal is to kind of introduce that same thing, but in a better way. I'm sure they're probably going to be pretty tight on driver revisions and stuff like that, though I definitely think that at some point they probably are going to have some sort of leak, maybe not in a week, but maybe in a couple months or maybe a year. They'll have a leak that probably will expose something similar to what happened with the 3060, or we can just have people who are super smart, people who are like in the mining community, and just kind of figure out and kind of go into these drivers and kind of manipulate stuff so that they can access it on these 3080, 3070, and the 3060 Ti cards. Now let's get a couple things out of the way first. These cards aren't just going to be replacing the 3080, 3070, and 3060. While yes, for gamers, they are pretty much going to be interchangeable, they're actually going to have different naming monikers. So the RTX 3080 is actually just going to be the RTX 3080 LHR. So it actually has to be on the box. So when you're going to go buy one of these GPUs, it's not going to be like kind of the luck of the draw if you get a GPU that's going to have that LHR limiter on it or not. So basically, you're going to be able to kind of select which GPUs you want to get. If you're someone who kind of wants to mine on the side, or if you're actually just looking to buy a GPU to mine, then you're not going to want an LHR GPU. And if you're just someone who's looking to game and you don't really care about mining, it's just not something that interests you, then you probably are going to want to look for something that says LHR, because most of the time these things are going to be at a reduced price point, since again they're not offering the value that a non-LH card would give to other people in the industry. And then again, if you're using it for anything else other than mining Ethereum, I think that these LH cards would be the better buy, just because even though they can't mine Ethereum, it's still going to be able to do whatever else you need the card to do with no sort of blockages to that system. So yeah, these things aren't going to be the 3070, 3060 Ti. It's actually going to be the 3060 Ti LHR or the 3070 LHR. So you're going to be able to see all that stuff. And then again, they haven't really talked about it, but the 3080 Ti, from what I've heard, you're going to be able to buy it May 29th from the people that I've kind of talked to. So you're going to be able to buy that May 29th, and I haven't heard any solid evidence from this, but I'm just kind of assuming this from a lot of other leakers that have kind of been out there, that this LHR thing is actually still going to be implemented on the 3080 Ti. So again, if you're looking at buying a really high-end GPU to, again, mine anything like that, the 3080 Ti is not going to be it for you, just because that's probably going to be one of the mainstream cards that is going to have that LHR limiter on it. Now, in terms of availability, again, from what I've heard from people that I know in the industry, they said that these things actually aren't going to be in very high supply compared to just the normal variants. So yeah, it's going to kind of suck. But I think within a couple months, I think probably about 3-4 months, we'll probably start seeing a lot more of these LHR cards on the market, because again, it takes about a month for a GPU to get made. So again, anything that happens in the pipeline is going to have about a month of time in order for it to actually affect anything that we are seeing on the consumer side. Now, when it comes to my overall thoughts on Nvidia coming out with this stuff, I'm not really too excited about it. I was a big proponent of people who are buying graphics cards, buying them at a higher rate and then just mining on them. I think that's what a lot of people did. I think that's what a lot of people are still doing. And now that Nvidia is basically blocking you from being able to buy a card like a 3080, like even though it's going to be a LHR card, it's probably still going to sell around the $1,000 range. Just because of all these crazy price increases, and now you're not going to be able to recoup any of that extra money that you spent on a 3080 by mining. So again, I'm not a huge fan of them being able to do this. I kind of get it. It's Nvidia's just trying to, I don't know if it's just kind of a signaling kind of thing where they just want to have better PR, or if it's something that they're genuinely trying to help people with. I mean, I honestly think that the best thing that they could do is just make more cards. And I know that kind of sounds like a, duh answer. But I know that a lot of these cards that they're making are going directly to mining farms and going into their CMP lineup. So it doesn't really seem that Nvidia's really prioritizing their gaming market in general, just because the profits that they get from the whole mining community is crazy high. And in general, I just don't feel too enthusiastic about this entire launch. I think, again, it's just kind of one of those things that Nvidia's doing because they feel like they have to. And it kind of just feels like they just kind of threw in all this stuff just so that they could kind of compete with AMD when it comes to, like, we're for gamers, and AMD's been pretty good with that. I mean, their cards can mine fairly well compared to their last gen, but again, those cards aren't used for mine just because of how good GeForce is, and just because it's harder for miners to get AMD cards in general. So that's about all I really have to say on the matter. I'm just, again, not a huge fan of the LHR thing. I think it's kind of a forced thing. They don't have a whole lot of supply. It might be good for some people. You might be able to buy an RTX 3080 for a better price than just a normal RTX 3080. Like a LHR card should be less, I think, in my mind, but who knows? The market's going to do whatever the hell it wants at this point. But yeah, I think there's some hope here with these cards. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's just kind of weird. I don't think Nvidia's really going to put their effort into this LHR lineup, and that's really all I have to say on the matter. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, and if you guys want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.